now. But nevertheless, hopefully this committee, and I've been here many, many times, I've talked to Representative Walker, that, you know, we can do better than this. And like our new president says, we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from committee members? Chairman Walker?
Yes. Can you tell me exactly what does your organization works as a support for families working with DCF?
Well, we support families that are in need, whether it's, like I said, depressions, family disorientations, what is it, financial, what is it, spiritual, moralities, so on and so forth, trying to get families back together.
So when families are struggling.
And bringing the unit back to where it belongs. And we're hoping that, like I said, that the state of Connecticut will see that, you know, the hardships that this protective organization is creating. And as the committee has already seen over and over and over again, same stories, lies, deceitfulness, protectionism, you know, psychiatrists coming to you and saying, well, you know, these children need this and they need that. We're absolutely protecting salaries more than anything.
Yes,
and it's a terrible situation, and I hope that the committee will really review some of.
Thank you. Committee members? Seeing none, thank you. All right, the next, and at this point, last signed up speaker is Joseph Maiasano. And anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, so we'll let Joseph go, and then we'll let you come up. Anyone else, too? Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. Thank you for your time. My name is Joseph Maiasano. I'm from Windsor, Connecticut. The reason here, first of all, I just want to say I sincerely empathize with all the tragic and sad stories that I heard here today. And I thought I had problems, and I certainly do, but I certainly give them all my sympathy. The reason I'm here today is because I've been a resident of Connecticut for 30 years, and I've been a very quiet person, family person, and I've been moved lately to speak out for some of the things that I've experienced. I understand the hearing today is mostly involving DCF, and I have not been involved, thank God, to this point so much with DCF. But the reason I'm here is because I faced similar problems, and I'm afraid that DCF is just a knock away from my door. I've been following a lot of the problems that DCF has had over the years, from one commissioner to another, and I'm sad to say that I'm very disappointed with the lack of progress and the disastrous catastrophes that have been reported over the years. From one commissioner to another, I kind of laugh looking backwards, saying, you know, there was one child advocate complaining horrendously over the performance of the previous commissioner, and it so happens then that that particular child advocate will be the next commissioner, and so forth, and on and on and on. And it's been a progression of all these commissioners that I in my opinion, have been doing a horrendous job. And speaking of the commissioner, I think she should have been here today, forced to stay here today to listen to the unfortunate stories, because I don't think she gets it. I simply do not think she'll ever get it, because the things that I want to talk about is basically organizational and systematic problems that I've dealt with through my unfortunate case of a divorce, recent divorce. And the reason I'm here, as I said, is because I decided to speak out. I have been married for 25 years. I had 5 children. I don't have them anymore. And as a result of that, I've gone through the process of the court systems, the family courts, the GAL, the psychiatric evaluation. I went through the whole gambit. As a matter of fact, when I initiated the process, I didn't want, I had my faith in the system, and I was the person who initiated insisted upon having all these people involved in my case, simply because I thought that they would do things that would be in the best interest of my children. And DCF, again, is also another agency that's supposed to be caring about the interest of our children. But in going through the entire process, I found out that each department, including the Justice Department, the legal system, and all the internal departments of the justice systems are extremely faulty, extremely biased, and extremely prejudiced. And it's very hard to convey this to normal people, because until I was thrown into this hurricane of a mess that destroyed my entire life, my entire family, I couldn't believe that things like this exist. I talk to people, and they just don't believe me. They don't believe the stories that one has to tell them. They can't tell them that a judge would do this or a judge would do that. It just doesn't make sense. But regardless of that, I'm just basically here to suggest and recommend a number of issues that I think are creating many, many problems, and that is the problems that individuals really are not, the individuals' interests are not really represented, even though you may have departments and systems whose job it is, and who may honestly be working hard for the rights of the individuals. They are really not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Some by omission and some by commission, really. And I think that it is up to the state legislature to look at its laws. It's up to the committees involved to continually evaluate the structure of all these committees and all these departments that are in charge of looking out after the rights of the individuals. I also question the usurpation of power that the state government is taking over family rights and parental rights through the divorce courts, the divorce laws, through DCF. DCF seems to be a runaway train. It answers to nobody. It's more powerful than any police state you can find, practically. And we need to have public accountability, and we need to have oversight, public audits of all the process and procedures that are set up, and we need to have some methods of evaluating the personnel that are working within all these departments. There is a lot of just no evaluation whatsoever. Okay, I have personally going through all the departments. I've personally been met with skepticism, hostility, and contempt by anybody in all these departments. People actually colluding to lie, and in many cases, I wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I haven't had. I'm $500,000 in debt because I've been trying to fight the system, and I've been. And the results of all that is that I found out that the lawyers failed me, and the judges failed me, and all the departments that have set up to protect the families and children's well-beings also failed me. And I think if we're all supposed to be caring for the best interests of the children, there's got to be some strict oversight, and there's got to be, I think, a turnover of personnel every so often, so that you don't get the entrenchment and the imperial empire building syndrome that you seem to get by one commissioner over another commissioner or one department over another department. You just need to have a better way of screening what goes on a daily basis, just to bring out the truth, because a lot of this is just systematic, and it's ingrained in the system. And you have people look at you in the face.
Thank you,
and say,
Mr. Mesta.
and they look at you in the face and say, well, we're working hard, and I'm sure you are working hard, but you may not be doing the job well.
All right, thank you. The committee's going to look into these issues.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you. Now, the young lady, no, the young ladies first, and then you, Stephen Erickson? Yes, I am. Yeah, you'll be next, Stephen. But I promise this young lady. Just make it clear for the record, because I don't have it written
young
down.
lady. Part of my story does involve my age. My name is Elizabeth Slazak. I hadn't prepared to speak today, but after listening to everyone, I wanted to, good afternoon, Representative Walker. I spoke in December. I was a former DCF social worker, and I think I left off that I was waiting to hear if I got my job back. When you're dropped, you can ask for a hearing. I asked for a hearing. I brought proof that my previous supervisor had lied, and there was proof. There was verification on my appraisal that he had given me that he had lied. I had my hearing 6 weeks later. I finally got a form letter. It said, I'm sorry, it was appropriate and warranted. Good luck in your future. My name was misspelled. It was horrendous. I am not here. I do not want my job back at DCF. I have moved on. What I'm here to say is the program supervisor ignored me, would not listen to my request to give my side of the story. My supervisor told me on August 5th, you don't have the skills. I don't see you making it here. That was after I had made a visitation error, and he got caught not supervising me. So it was in retaliation. I was an older, that's why I said thank you. I was an older worker. There was a lot of younger workers. I had worked for the state for over 20 years, judicials, support enforcement, Norwich Hospital. I had glowing recommendations. I had never gotten an unsatisfactory performance appraisal. It said I needed, I wasn't dependable, that I needed, my attendance needed approving. I was there every single day. I didn't call in one day. Said I needed, I was tardy. I was 15 minutes early each day. It said that my work was sloppy. I had proof of excellent job. What I'm here today for the bill 6352, there needs to be oversight. I wrote a letter to the commissioner on November 6th. I have yet to get a response. I didn't even get a form letter from her. I showed her proof that there were lies. I got no response. I'm here today to say I know how to fight, and I fought as hard as I could. They won. I mean, I couldn't get my job back. They haven't won. I am so glad I'm not working for that agency, because what I did from August 5th till the day I got fired to try and keep my job, I could have ended up in divorce court. I worked so many hours. I neglected my family because I said, I'm not going to let him win. I'm going to show I can do the job. I never knew he would resort to lying to get me fired. I thought if I did my job and I had proof, I tried to talk to the program supervisor. Oh, I can't talk to you without him present. I called Human Resources. They never returned my calls. So if that's how I got treated, how are these families ever going to get the proper treatment? They're not. The DMV whistleblower said it good. You have to go along to get along. Everybody, I'm sure the program supervisor knows, and my supervisor has done this many times. You don't say anything, you don't rock the boat. The HR director said to me, my God, you do have proof. She was like my best friend that day. I thought I had a chance. She said, give me your cell phone number. I'll call you in a week. Never called me back. And then a letter, my name misspelled, going, I discussed this with management, and it was appropriate and warranted. It's a cover-up going on there, and they've been allowed to get away with it. And they keep laughing because the commissioner comes. She should have stayed. I wanted her to be here. She has to leave. If you had asked her questions for 2 more hours, would she have gotten up and left? No, she would have stayed. So I know I've gone over the 3 minutes, and like I said, I hadn't prepared to speak, but it's a travesty. I should have never been let go. And one supervisor who had it out for me, I was an older worker, experienced. I probably knew more than he did, and he didn't like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Representative Johnston?
Thank you for your testimony and for listening for a long time before you decided you needed to speak. I guess I've heard a lot of these stories today, and we've had new commissioner appear, same as the old commissioner, a few times over, and it seems that things are sort of the status quo. The question I have is why?
Why? What?
Why does this continue to happen? You would think that the new administration, what is it in the system at DCF? And do you have any sense that Connecticut's different than any other state? I realize that ever wading into someone's personal life and trying to determine what being a good parent is and whether someone has that capability is walking into a minefield. I can appreciate that. I think each one of us as parents questions have what we do, and what works well with one child doesn't work well with another. So I can understand that the job they do is incredibly difficult, but what I'm hearing today isn't that maybe they're making some bad judgments. What I'm hearing today is that there's sort of some seeming institutional cases of cover-up, of not being truthful, of not being responsive, of not having a proper attitude, those kind of things. And I guess my question is why?
Well, in defense of the social worker, I was a good social worker. I had no supervision. Thank goodness I was a good social worker for my families. I think the problem is when you have a supervisor like that who lets you go out. If you have a bad social worker, nobody knows what they're doing or how they're treating that family because nobody's watching them. But as you go up the layers, the program supervisor, the program director, nobody wants to take any action against that incompetent supervisor. So everybody puts blinders on. And so when that family tries to call to complain, it goes nowhere because there is nobody in management up that wants to say, we have a problem here. We need to address it. The best way is to ignore it. And that's what they do. And that's why it happens. It's easier to ignore, you know. Look at me, the commissioner never wrote me back, the HR, just keep ignoring, she'll go away, you know? And I have as far as wanting a job back there. I wouldn't take a job back there if they offered me one today. I'm fortunate, you know, I'm not a single parent. What happens, he does this to a single parent. I have a husband who works for the state, hopefully will continue to work for the state. Please, please, please. And I'm very fortunate, but it's just very sad because I know the families suffer, and when they have something they want to get addressed, they don't because I'm one little story. Can you imagine what else goes on?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Stephen Erickson, and I don't know if there's anybody else who wants to testify, but I guess there is another person also. But Mr. Erickson.
All right. My name is Stephen G. Erickson. Stephen with a V. Erickson is E-R-I-C-K-S-O-N. If you want to do a word search, you'll find this video and more on this subject. The woman that spoke
Just a
before
moment,
me,
just to let you know, Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
this was videotaped anyhow, so you
I
could
know I have a video going too. So.
no, but you could have saved your money because you could have
All right.
tapped right.
All right. There's no supervision. The DCF worker mentioned there's no supervision. There's also no accountability. If you do something wrong, DCF, police, a judge, a judge can do quite a bit wrong, and they just get slap on the wrist. William Sullivan, 2 weeks? What did he do? I'll get back to the subject. Does the U.S. Constitution apply in Connecticut?
A judge yesterday got 8 months, just for the record.
What's that?
Yesterday, a judge got suspended for 8 months.
She still has her job. It's unfortunate that she's a minority and a woman, but I would like to have seen one of the white male judges who does far worse. Okay. What we need is grand juries. We need to get rid of the monarchs, which are judges. They play daddy to everybody, whether they're male or female. They say, this is how you raise your kids. We don't care whether you can pay it or not. If you say anything, we're going to put you in jail. Shut up and like it. What we need is what our forefathers intended, a grand jury. Why should it be a monarch that you go to that will defend the abusers? When you complain about abusers, you complain to the abusers. So when you get fried, barbecued, you say something about DCF, the police. I could go on and on about what's happened in the DMR. You know, they set people up. One woman, Christine Blake, she was away and had a stamped passport. They tried to set her up for jail. And they do that in the DCF. They do that in the judiciary. DCF is under the judiciary. Andrea Wilson went to a judicial panel to expose what was wrong in the court system. She talked about court hard drives being altered, about fraud being committed by members of the branch. You don't have to show up to get paid 6 figures in the judiciary if you know somebody. And if you say something about it, like Andrea Wilson, you get suspended. And if you're like me and you propose laws to civilian oversight of police, you want to reform the courts, they will spy on you. DCF is an organization that will do it. The police will. So if you complain about the police, you just end up having DCF, the police, the courts, and then that's it. Your life is toasted. You lose your kids. I haven't seen my daughter in 7 years because of the way the system is. There's no one to complain to. We need grand juries in the courtrooms. They need definite terms, and they can vote on having an independent investigation to look into DCF misconduct, police misconduct, judicial misconduct, attorney misconduct, and then it'll be investigated. The process can even work for George W. Bush to be prosecuted for murder and war crimes in the U.S., and I'm going to Washington to push that too.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, thank you. There's another gentleman. And for the record, I got to write down your name, so just...
Yes. Hello, my name is Kenneth Krajewski, Manchester, Connecticut. I'm a father, a mentor, an uncle of 13, and a former Marine, and a law-abiding citizen. I started a support group after being thrown into the court system. Children Need Both Parents, and I'm the founder of Save Our Kids Parental Alienation Foundation. I would like to thank the committee from the bottom of my heart for these bills that you are passing for our children, and to make sure that these bills are enforced and these laws are enforced. How I got thrown into for fighting for the safety and well-being of my children approximately 2 years ago. I had a restraining order put on me for a mosquito bite, a car magazine, and frostbite. My children having frostbite, which was actually Dad playing with his children, getting cold, making snowmen. Went to court. It was thrown out in 1 week. There was no investigation. There was no school reports, no medical reports, no DCF, no arrest. You know, like I said, it was thrown out immediately. But a guardian ad litem was assigned to investigate my case because of the issues of why I said this happened. The restraining order. The many issues that I brought up, the many findings, the evidence, the police reports, and who really put my children in harm's way. It's been a battle for the last 2 years, and I have not seen my children in 1 year now. I finally fought for 2 years and got a trial to bring out all the evidence. I requested to have, there was 35 witnesses, family members, bosses, friends. I gave the guardian ad litem 75 phone contacts on who I was as a father, numerous police reports of beatings in front of my children from my ex's boyfriends, numerous broken visitation orders, and yet the GAL did nothing in the best interest of my children. And because I have this support group, I get calls of, children being alienated all the time through DCF workers, through GALs, family services, and other things. All the things that my children wanted, all the things that that people gave her, evidence and reports and pictures, how I was with my children's life every single day. The GAL did nothing. Because of this, she was able to alienate my children from me now for 1 year, and 45 members of my family who they contacted every day. With her negligence, she is solely responsible for systematically kidnapping my children. And everybody knows that, but I will keep fighting for the truth to be heard. I have handwritten letters that I tried to present to the judges. They did not want to see those, but they wanted to see letters that were typed, that were not my daughter, the things that she was saying, that how much she liked the GAL. My children were telling the GAL and other people how much they wanted to be with my family members and myself, and only myself, mom, and family members. Yet the GAL never reported these things. I was brought up by my parents. My mother always told me honesty will prevail. My dad told me that a person of integrity can and always will speak the truth. For the story never changes. Just as easy with the stroke of a pen, DCF, GALs, family services recommendations can alienate and destroy a family and a parent's bond. They should be just as easy held accountable, arrested, disbarred, just as easily. With their incompetence, negligence, falsifying reports, and fees. They have destroyed many lives, and our parental rights are constantly being invaded. Here is a quick letter of my daughter, which she gave me, that I'd like to read to you. Dear Daddy, I love you so, so much. You are my papa. This was when she's 10 years old. If I did not have you, I do not know what I would do without you. I wanted to see you and be with you every day. Seeing how my daughter has been alienated, and my son, for over a year now, I got a text message from my daughter, and I still have it on my phone because I will be bringing it in for my trial. My daughter says, I hate you, and I don't want to see you, and don't bring me any more junk, because I had a year's worth of presents delivered to their house from myself and family members. My children will know someday what I've done for them and what I'm doing for them and other parents. This GAL will never know how much I've cried for my children. And my children are thinking that their dad and all their extended family has abandoned them. Even after I promise my children that Daddy will always be there for them. I thank you for bringing about these bills, and I hope that the people that are supposed to be in charge of the DCF and the family courts enforce them, so there's not any more destruction. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Thank you very much. At this point, we have no one else signed up. Does anyone else like to speak? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing. Is there a second? All in favor? Does anyone object? Thank you.
Representative Walker, may I deliver this to you?
Hello, it's Frank. Hi.